Welcome, beautiful souls, to the Yatrasisters podcast. I'm Sherita.
And I'm Allison.
And today we're going to talk about...
We are going to talk about faithfully failing.
Okay.
It's a lot in those words.
It's a whole lot in those words. I fail a lot.
You fail a lot.
And yes, I fail a lot in life. I think at some point we've all failed probably a lot in things. So, but the faithful part is very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I ditto what you just said. I think I fail every day in something. Sometimes
Yes.
there are mini failures, tiny failures. And then other times I can reflect of big failures. Just the other day, I thought I had the day off.
Okay.
And I got really excited because my husband was driving down to USC for the kids. And I hadn't had a day off in a very long time. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have a day off. I'm going to get in the car with you.
Yeah.
All I had done is showered and got in a car. That's it.
Okay.
And drove to USC. And when I hadn't even gotten out of the car, I get a text. Where is the teachers? The door is locked at the yoga studio. I was supposed to sub.
Oh my gosh. You were, what, 2 hours away?
Uh-huh. So I looked to my husband, I said, it's awful when you've already failed tremendously before the day I haven't even done anything. I've literally showered, pee, and sat in a car, and I've already failed. Like a big failure.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm with you. I feel like failure is just part of like the week.
So in failing, why do you think so many of us take it so hard when it's something we do so often? Like, shouldn't we be used to failing by now? And aren't we supposed to fail at some stuff?
Oh yeah, that's deep. I don't think you should ever get used to any emotion.
Oh, okay.
When I'm doing some counseling, I tell people boxers do not train to get hit better. You train to not get hit.
Damn, that's true. Facts.
So when people will say, why does that bother me so much? Or that shouldn't bother me, or I should learn to get over that, or I should toughen up. My first gut instinct is no. You shouldn't harden up. You shouldn't toughen up. You shouldn't get better at getting hit. You shouldn't get better at feeling heavy emotions.
Right.
I'm never for let failing you harden you. I think failing you should soften you.
Repeat that again.
I do not believe that failures should harden you. I think failures should soften you.
Wow. Because, as I think about what you're saying, I know, like, I become calloused sometimes from failure. So as I'm hearing you say failure shouldn't harden you, it should soften you. It's so true, but it's so hard. I mean, because I think we've been conditioned to believe that we're not supposed to fail. And if you fail, it's a reflection on you in a negative way. And even though in my mind, I don't think it's that way, but I live a life that way because I think that's just how I'm supposed to be based on what I've been taught.
To live what way? Say that again. What do you think?
I believe that, we're not supposed to fail.
Oh.
Even though in my head, I know that doesn't make sense. But I still believe that I don't want to go out here and do something. And I don't think anybody does with the idea of failing, but I don't like it.
Yeah, well, I think, let's break that down.
Okay.
What is failure? Let's start there. Like, what is failure?
For me, failure is when I have an idea of success in something and I don't meet that mark.
Okay. So you have a attachment to a certain outcome that you want. You have a scenario you've already decided on.
Yes.
And if it doesn't meet that scenario, it feels like a failure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then what are the feelings that come with the failure? What is it that you're fearing so much? Because it can't be as flat as that. It can't be just, well, the scenario didn't happen. End of story.
Yeah.
Failure is more than that. It's not just the scenario didn't happen. What is it? What all is in there?
I mean, so for me, I think it's just with my sons, even though they're all adults now, I remember when it was just me raising them and they were little, I felt like I was the only example that they really had. So for me, failing was not giving them an example of what it means to actually work hard towards something and to have it work. So I think it was me disappointing them is the way that I saw it. If
you failed, you were disappointing them.
Correct. Even though they didn't say it, even though they had no clue, this was just how I felt about the situation. And I think also with failure, for me, it's just a letdown because I want to accomplish it. If I set out to put the time and the work in it and I don't hit the mark, then I think it's a strike against me.
Oh, that's deep what you just said. A strike against me.
Yeah.
So who's the scorekeeper?
That would be me.
You're the scorekeeper.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have a strike means then what? You're a less than person?
I won't say a less than person, but oh gosh. Okay, I'm about to say this. And as I'm saying it, I'm sitting here thinking, oh my gosh. My ego has taken a bruising and it didn't feel good. Yeah.
So are you looking at yourself as less than? Or are you embarrassed? When your ego takes a bruising, is it an ego meaning I'm embarrassed what other people may think of me, or is it I feel less than, or is it just maybe something more simple that I just feel let down because I wanted to taste that pleasure of that accomplishment and I didn't get to have the ice cream cone?
Absolutely. I would not have chosen those words, but that is exactly what it feels like for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're breaking down is sometimes failure is as simple as I had a pleasure I wanted. I thought I was going to get it.
Yes.
And I didn't do whatever the teachers, the marks, the race, the competition, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I didn't do it, so I didn't get the ice cream cone.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, okay. So failure, one aspect of failure is disappointment.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so we've got failure as disappointment. We have failure of it makes me, could be, I feel less about myself.
Yeah, I didn't measure up.
I didn't measure up.
Yeah.
So now I don't feel like I'm a complete person because I'm not the person I want to be now. So I'm a less than a person that I designed.
Yes, because I think to a certain degree we all have an idea of where we want to be, and so when we do things to try to get to that place or become that person, and like for instance, someone I imagine it to be with someone who maybe is an alcoholic, even though I'm speaking from just my thoughts because I've never experienced that. But I would think that somebody who's an alcoholic or truly addicted to something, they go so long without doing that thing, and then something happens and they do, I would think that would be catastrophic. So in my mind, my addiction, for instance, I love to write. I love to write books. I love to write screenplays. I love to hit the mark. I love to write it and have it look a certain way. But then I let people read it and they're finding a lot of things. I don't mind the things that they find, but in my head, I'm like, damn, I thought I wrote a stronger story than that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But obviously I didn't because of the feedback, which is good and needed, did not measure up to what I thought I had written.
Okay, so I think you just opened up another aspect of failure.
Okay.
Failure can be, if you're leaving it to the external world to determine that for you, you're always failing.
Yeah. I feel like in a lot of ways I am, and I'm good with most of it.
I didn't mean you, Sherita.
Yeah.
I meant all of us.
Right.
I meant not just you personally. Me too.
Yeah.
I think the moment we invite the outside world to give us a yay or nay, you're going to fail.
Wow. Yeah.
It's always, you're always going to have someone to say you didn't measure up. You didn't.
That's true.
It wasn't good enough.
Oh yeah.
There's no way that somewhere out there is not going to say that. Even with us on a podcast, people will tell us, oh, I love that episode. I love that. However, comma, but.
Yeah.
And it cracks me up because I think you said it. We see exactly what they're saying and agree. But it's really hard, guys, to get everything in 30 minutes.
So true.
Sometimes 27 minutes.
Yeah.
Stay on track, have cohesive thoughts. And plus, this is only 27 minutes of like our whole personality.
It is. And a lot of our listeners don't know, we don't rehearse what we're going to say.
Never.
Like we come in, we don't even know what the topic is going to be. We're like, hey, let's talk about this. And here's some guidelines that we kind of want to stay in. But we have no idea what's coming out of each other's mouths or what's coming up. Like I didn't plan on telling you what I told you and being vulnerable about how I feel about not measuring up.
No.
Yeah.
And we chose that because we wanted to be as authentic. We choose our topics, like we said, the day out because it's what's pulsating for us this week.
Absolutely.
And if I'm feeling in this week, chances are somebody else is feeling because we're universally connected.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
And I think that's keeps us more relevant and connected to the energy of other human beings.
Yes.
So of course we're going to fail. We're failing right now as we're doing it.
Oh my gosh. We are. I mean, we are.
So I think we talked about, okay, all these feelings that come with failure. For me, I think the feelings with failure is very simple.
Okay.
I think we fear failure because failure means suffering. And we will do anything to not feel suffering.
Yes.
And failure is some form of suffering. It's either going to make me poor, it's going to embarrass me, it's going to make me lonely, it's going to make me hated, it's going to make me not be who I want to be. All of that is describing suffering.
Yes.
So failing is suffering. I don't want to suffer. It's as simple as I don't want to fail riding this bike because I'm going to fall and that will lead to suffering.
Yes. Absolutely.
It's as simple as that. I will do anything to avoid the scratches on my legs or possibly breaking an arm.
Or busting my ass.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So, wow. So with that being said, where does the faithfully failing come in?
That's the most important part. Okay. When we're faithfully failing, we can cushion the suffering.
Okay.
By God. So, okay. First of all, I think we need to discuss faith, but faith for you and I.
Yeah.
And what you and I together we've agreed on or we both feel. When I say to have faith, I'm not referring to my religion.
Right.
I'm not even going to disclose my religion. I think that's private, and I don't think it's necessary right now to disclose that.
Absolutely.
But when someone says, I have faith or faith, I am not using that in a religion doctrine.
Okay.
Faith, for me, faith means the feeling. It's a feeling. It's a sensation. It's something that right now you can close your eyes, and I invite you as listeners to do this. Literally take a moment, close your eyes. Drink a real deep breath, and then just let it fall out. And what faith is? Faith is accepting the unknown. It is agreeing that there is no way you can plan for every scenario and every variable that is going to be happening in your future. So it's agreeing with that. It's not just accepting it.
Right.
It's agreeing that that is a fact. Once you say, I agree, I cannot plan for every scenario and see every variable, I can release a lot of my excess thoughts, my fears that I could do it better or perfectly, which means I'm going to have to let go of some control.
Yes. Yes.
And when I let go of some of the control, I'm going to also let go of an outcome that I'm attached to. I now know just some outcome is going to happen.
Right. Yes. Wow. That the ending of what you just said, all what you said makes sense, but that makes the most sense is that there's going to be an outcome.
Yes.
But being okay with not trying to control that outcome is so important, and it's so freeing.
It is
so
because the best part that faith gives me is when I get scared, and I like to say scared. I'm scared to make a decision. I'm scared of failing. That's what you're saying when you're scared to make a decision.
Yeah.
Or when you didn't have to make the decision, when failure came up and did it to you, you didn't even have a part. You were just like, all of a sudden somebody says to you, well, you're fired, or I don't like you anymore.
Yeah.
That's like failure happening upon you. Immediately you have all these sensations because it's an outcome that you didn't want.
Yes.
But if I go back to my faith and I close my eyes and I breathe in that unknown, I allow myself to get some curiosity. And that curiosity is, what's next? Because something else there's going to be a different outcome.
Yes.
I have to just release my fear and just realize another outcome is coming.
So there's always a next.
There's always a next.
Okay.
Now, I don't want to act like I'm just this, phenomenal person at this, because while you're faithfully failing, you need to be okay to feel.
That part. Yeah.
That's where I said life is going to soften you.
And when you say that, and I just, everything we talk about, I reflect back on my life or friends or in the conversations that I've had. And I know for me, like even at my age, and I don't mind putting it out there, 49, maybe 2 years ago is when I truly started working on no longer being calloused and hardened by the failures or disappointments, and in having to uphold this image for me, it was for the sake of my sons, an image they never asked me to uphold. But for 2 years, I've been working on the softening side, so much to the point that it was difficult for me to cry about something that hurt me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So much better now because we was watching Ram Dass's movie.
Yes.
And so, I was feeling the tears and hurting for the people on there. So thank God I can still feel.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
yes. So, yeah. If you let life soften you, and you feel the failure or you feel what has happened, you're now humble.
Yeah.
You connect to love. I think it was in the Ram Dass film, and it's something I say all the time. He said it a lot more eloquent than I said it. But suffering brings me closer to God. If we don't fail and feel as if everything's been stripped away, there's no way to get close to God. Oftentimes, when you have nothing, God is all you have left.
Yes.
So trust me, you will figure out prayer and meditation when there's nothing else.
Yes.
I say all the time how I say it, which is not as wonderful, is when people say, I don't use coupons, I say, well, you haven't been poor enough.
True.
When you get poor enough, you figure out coupons.
You do.
You do. You figure out those 2-for-1 deals. There's all kinds of things. So I think suffering and feeling the disappointment, the sadness, the kick in the belly, you should feel that so that you understand when other people are feeling that. You don't just walk up and the worst thing you can say to someone when they've experienced a failure is to say, well, when one door closes, another one opens.
Yeah.
Or suck it up, buttercup, bad shit happens. Or, oh my God, it'll get better. It's not going to stay like this forever. You want to look at them and say, well, no shit. Right. I'm not stupid. Yeah. Right? But I'm not ready for that right this second. Right this second, I'm allowed to say that hurt.
Yeah.
That hurt. I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't know I was going to fall off my bike.
Yes.
That shit hurt. Yeah. You should get a hug. You should get a kiss. You shouldn't get somebody saying, well, I'll make it all better so you never should feel that again. Right? Gosh, some mothers do that. Like, oh, what can I do to make it better and try to fix the child?
Yeah.
That's horrible because, again, that's just saying anytime you get a suffering, you should get an ice cream cone. That's not true either.
Right.
Right? Yeah. But what we should do is to acknowledge it, validate it, so it softens us, And then we get to try it again.
Do you know what's interesting? I feel like I've done a good job in feeling for friends, for family. Mm-hmm. But when it would come to me...
Oh, you wouldn't give yourself permission to feel the failure?
No, I didn't.
Uh-huh.
And I'm learning that. And like I said, I've done some work over the last couple of years. Part of the work is meeting you and coming to yoga teacher training. But yeah, so I did not give myself that opportunity to say, yeah, this shit hurts.
Yes.
Because I had to move on because I felt like I had responsibilities or responsible for other people's well-being, i.e. my kids. And I think probably a lot of single moms and single dads out there might feel the same way. But hearing you talk, yeah, I didn't have a problem extending that to other people. I just found it very difficult to extend it to myself.
I know that's hard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's hard for a lot of people to validate the feeling they're having.
Yeah.
Maybe because they were never given that choice when they were a child. Maybe they're afraid if they stay with it, it's going to swallow them and they can't get back out.
Yeah.
So they're very afraid that if they feel it, they're trapped in it. You know, I'm sure there's going to be people calling in saying, why are y'all calling these failures? You know, things are blessings, or it meant to be, or not everything was a failure. Maybe that was how it was supposed to play out. I mean, sure, great.
Yeah.
Probably every failure I've had, you're exactly right. It
Whatever
turned
you
out to
call
be
it.
a blessing, whatever.
Yeah.
At the time, though, I'm going to tell you, it felt straight up like a failure.
It sure did.
And stop telling me that it didn't, because it did. At the time, it
Yes.
did. Now, as I move forward and I find the faith and the cradle that only divine can give me, that whispers in my ear, that says, I'm here with you.
Yes.
I'm holding your hand. I'm crying with you. Look, Jesus was not a non-compassionate person. Jesus would cry with you.
Yeah.
You know,
that's true.
there's a famous movie out there, and it says, Jesus, where were you when all this bad stuff was happening to me? Where were you? Where were you when my heart was breaking? Where were you during the time of this grief? Where were you? Why have you allowed this bad stuff to happen to me? And the answer was, I was standing right beside you. I was standing right beside you. So, you know, any way you want to say it's not a failure, we've all know it still feels that way.
Right. Yeah.
So we should feel it. You know, I've had failures in love, but my God, I'm so glad I chose to love than not love at all to avoid the failure.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
You know, it's a risk we
yeah.
have to take. I'm lately getting ready to make some changes, you know, career-wise. And what scares me more is not doing it. Because if I don't do it for the safety that I could avoid the failure, and I don't do it, I feel like that's a prison that you live in for the rest of your life. I could have, I should have. What would have happened if I took that leap? Oh my gosh, look at all those people that have podcasts. Look at all these people, you know, being successful. We should have done that, Sherita.
Yeah.
Right?
We talked about it. Why didn't we do it?
Oh my God, to me, not doing that sounds like a worse feeling. I don't care if this never does anything. At least I tried.
Yeah, and we have fun doing it.
Yes.
So
yes.
we have fun doing it. But that's so true. In the end, I don't want to look back and say I didn't try because I was afraid of failing.
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen to me. That's not a legacy I want to leave for my sons or now grandkids. But yeah, I don't want to look back and have that be one of the last thoughts that I have.
I agree. Mind. So I think everything you try, don't even say it's going to fail. Assume that it probably could. Go ahead and put that as a probability in there.
Yeah.
Do it anyways.
Yeah.
Because in the end, if you do fail, you're still okay. You did it faithfully.
Yes.
You can feel it. Look over. God says, wow, that sucked. Are you all right? And you go, not really, man. Well, I need a minute, okay? That hurt. They're deep, okay?
Yes.
But at least you know God is right there saying, oh, I saw that. Ooh.
Yeah.
That was a doozy. You know, and you're like, right, man? And it's still okay.
It's still okay.
So
yeah.
I know what I'm trying to say is a little bit different than what other people say. You know, you may not fail. No, you very well may fail. I mean, that's a huge, it's a 50-50 shot in pretty much anything you do.
Pretty
because
much.
you don't know all the scenarios. You don't know all the variables.
Nope, we don't.
But you're still going to be okay. You're going to feel it. It's going to be like a oomph.
Yeah.
You know, you might as well realize when you go to the altar, I'm sorry, my new young ones. It's a 50-50 shot if your marriage is going to work out. And I'm starting to think now it's a 60-40.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, a 70-30. Might be an 80-20. Anyways. But you still go. You take the gamble.
You take the risk.
If it doesn't, guess what? You're going to be with the rest of us, 80%, 70%, I don't know.
Yeah.
That tells you it's okay.
It's okay.
You will make it through it. It will hurt for a minute, but you will be okay. So I think what we're saying is faithfully failing is I am okay to allow this to happen because I have faith.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I have faith because I also know that something else is coming next.
Something else is coming next. I have to have curiosity.
Yes.
And through this process, I'm learning to love. I'm learning to feel.
Yes.
I'm experiencing. I'm tasting things that I need to for growth.
Yes. Absolutely.
I have to have it for growth. You were asking me, we were going to get a Starbucks, and you said, what if you wouldn't have failed in something? We were talking about, I think, my ex-marriage. I think that's what we were talking about when I came back from the ashram. What if everything would have turned out perfectly?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I think, Sherita, I'd actually be a really bad teacher today.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have tasted failure. So I'd probably be a little narcissistic, thinking, well, you know, you just work hard and put all the effort in there and things should work out. And then if it doesn't work out, get up tomorrow morning and try harder the next time. And if that doesn't work out, well, by golly, wake up and try again.
Yeah.
F that.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe I need to sit down. I don't need to get back up tomorrow morning or the next day.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It softened me to realize sometimes things don't work out.
And, you know, and just from what you said, you're absolutely right. And just looking at some of the relationships, whether it's friendships or intimate, that I stayed in too long, you truly start to take that energy and feed that to other people in some way. And that's not good.
No.
Like, it really isn't good.
It's really because we're always weighing out which suffering is worse.
Yeah.
Which suffering you want to avoid it.
Right.
That's your number one. And then number two, you're like, well, this one might have more than this one, or this one has a higher rate of this one. I've already know this suffering. I might as well just stay in this suffering.
Yeah.
But, you know, that again goes back to trying to avoid it is exhausting.
Absolutely. When you know that you have faithfully failed 2 years prior to you getting to that point.
Correct.
Is what I'm learning.
Correct.
And it's okay.
And it's okay.
It's
God
okay.
is in this chariot with me. What is there to fear? God is right beside me when I feel everything that I'm feeling. I'm not alone.
Never alone.
Never alone.
Yeah.
God is there to wipe my tears. God is there to say it's going to be okay. And if he ever says it's not going to be okay, then I guess I'm on my way to another journey.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, all right. Good thing you told me that.
Right. Right. Now
Good thing you gave me a little heads up on that one. Jeez, you had given me a heads up on any other thing. So I'm glad you finally gave me that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think faith is just, let's just go in. Let's go in this unknown thing.
Let's just do it.
Let's just do it. All right.
Okay.
Well, hopefully we helped all of y'all if you've been tasting a failure.
Oh, absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
Sherita and I would immediately say, me too.
Oh yeah, you're definitely not alone.
No.
At all.
Never alone.
And it's okay.
And it's okay. We're right here with you, holding faith and faith alongside you.
Absolutely.
Well, with that, I guess we say amen, Sherita.
Amen.
All right.
So, see you next time.
Absolutely, on the other side.